How do, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Royston Recommends, a short video series that I'm going to do here on my YouTube channel. It's not replacing Future Drive Radio, but I'm still not in a health position to keep doing that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, any new albums that I find, any new albums that come out that I want to recommend to you guys, I'm just going to make a quick video review of them and just tell you why you should listen to them. And we're going to start off today in the first episode. We are going to do Wolf Club's new album, Frontiers. So Wolf Club are an act that first came into my kind of realm of consciousness with their last record, Infinity, which has some absolute belters of tracks on it. It's one of my favourite albums of the last couple of years. It's one that I regularly go back to and listen to front to back, which is relatively rare for me, to be honest, listen to an album front to back. There's only so many albums that I'll do that with, and with tracks like The Sun Lasts Forever and Can't Stop Falling in Love, that album is truly a work of art, and this is the ever so difficult follow-up. Whenever you have a brilliant album, it's always very difficult to follow up with on that, and I think Wolf Club have done a pretty decent job. Now, I have to say, Infinity took a few listens to really grab me as being the album that I now see it as, which is a brilliant one. And I feel like this album will maybe do the same for me, because my initial impression of it is that it's not quite as good as what's come before, but it's brand new. And I'm often like that with records. I'll need to listen to them through a few times for it to really start growing, to really get its hooks in my brain. And I'm absolutely, with the impression I've got from my first listen of this record, it's absolutely good enough that I will keep going back to it and allow it to worm its way into my ears. So the vibe that I get from this record, slightly different to the previous work, is that I feel like there's a little bit of a kind of indie rock vibe on this record. Not a lot, but just a tinge of it. There's more guitar work, and the guitar work that's there is often sort of further back in the layers of the record, and it's exemplified by the very beginning of the very first track, Electrify, which comes in with a very indie rock sounding guitar section that you could feasibly see being the beginning of an indie rock song. And that's kind of, that filters throughout the record of this kind of feel of, it's slightly more laid back on a lot of tracks, and that's definitely a good thing for me. I do enjoy music that I can listen to, you know, laid down with my eyes closed. It's very much my kind of record in that regard. But also, there's the flip side of that, with songs like Symmetry there. And Symmetry is probably the best example of this on the record, of a song that builds and then eventually explodes into a very EDM, very danceable track, which for my personal taste makes it not one of my favourites on the record, but for that kind of music it's still excellent. It's very, very good. It's one of the tracks that I maybe won't go back to as much as some of the other tracks on here, purely because of personal taste. But if the kind of synthwave, the kind of retrowave that you're looking for is something that you can something that you can jump around and dance to, then absolutely, a track like Symmetry is right up your alley. I would highly recommend checking that one out. But my main recommendation from this record, my favourite track from it, is track number 7, Gravity. This track plays right into my wheelhouse of what I like in my music in general, not even just in my retrowave music. In music in general, I love a track that starts and gradually builds towards a crescendo, and Gravity is a wonderful track in that regard. It has the dynamic vocals. I think that they use both of their vocalists very well throughout the album, but I think particularly in this track the vocals kind of build steadily alongside the music to come to the end point of this song. There's a real, you know, you can trace the steps to how you got there, and I love that in a song. And if you're only going to have time to check out one track from this album to make your mind up on it, make sure that track is Gravity. Overall, initial impressions of this record for me is that it's very much a Wolf Club record. It's very much a progression of their sound from the previous excellent record. It's one that I will definitely come back to. I'm not going to give it a star rating or a rating out of 10. because the title of the show is Royston Recommends. You won't see anything on this show, you won't see anything on this channel that I don't recommend you listen to. So it's kind of pointless me giving it a grade. The grade is that I recommend it. It's a fantastic album. If you like previous Wolf Club albums or previous Wolf Club songs that you've heard, definitely give it a listen. Stay tuned for future episodes of Royston Recommends, where I will go through albums, new or old, that I think you should all give a listen to. Until the future, drive safe. I've been Royston Charmaine. Peace.